Hello everyone, today I'm going to introduce you to Anthropic's Claude AI assistant and show you how to use it to generate text within a Ruby application. We'll cover off setting up your environment, getting an Anthropic API key, and creating a basic Rails application using the Anthropic API with the claude-ruby gem. Before we dive into the technical stuff, let's have a quick look at Claude and what it can do. Claude is an AI model developed by Anthropic, designed to assist with a variety of tasks. According to the website, it is a next-generation AI assistant built for work and trained to be safe, accurate, and secure. It's an alternative to ChatGPT, and depending on your use case, it may offer superior performance, price, or both. At the time of recording this video, Claude 3.5 Sonnet was recently released, and it offers excellent performance at a great price. Benchmark tests aren't necessarily representative of real-world use cases, but it's assuring to know that Claude 3.5 Sonnet has achieved excellent benchmark results. Let's log into the Claude website and see a couple of examples of how Claude can help generate text. First, go to www.claude.ai. If this is your first time visiting the website, then you'll need to sign up before logging in. Once logged in, we can ask Claude to tell me a joke, and you can see that it's pretty quick to give a result. For something different, we could tell Claude to answer only in Spanish. And you can see that we now have a joke in Spanish. Claude is capable of much more complicated tasks, but for now, we'll replicate these simple tasks in a matter of minutes using Ruby, the Anthropic API, and claude-ruby gem. Why Ruby? We all know that Gen AI apps are typically written in Python, and that's still important for model training. But at the end of the day, the API calls are just HTTP posts. So if you have an existing Rails app, or you're just more comfortable using Ruby, then there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Using the Anthropic API, it is easy to leverage the power of Claude within your own applications in Ruby or any other language. And for Rails apps, it's even easier using claude-ruby gem. But before we can do any of that, we'll need to generate an Anthropic API key. Let's go through that process now. Head over to the Anthropic Docs website. There's a quick start guide there which shows the prerequisites, a bunch of tutorials, and of course the API reference. To generate an API key, you'll need an Anthropic console account. Just click the An API Key link, and it will take you to the console sign-up page. I've already signed up, so for me it takes me straight to the API Keys page. From here, click Create Key. Give your key a name. Click the Create Key button, and then a new API key will be generated for you. Make sure you copy and save the secret key now, because you won't be able to see it again. Now you'll see a snippet of the key listed on the console screen. Be careful not to share your key in a public Git repository, else it could end up costing you some serious money. If you think you might have accidentally exposed your key, then you can disable it or delete it right there from the console. Now let's introduce the claude-ruby gem. This gem allows us to easily interact with Claude from our Ruby applications rather than coding up the HTTP requests ourselves. Here's the GitHub page for the claude-ruby gem. It provides all the documentation you need to get started. Let's dig in and set up a basic Rails application. First, create a new Rails application. Open your terminal and run Rails new, your app name. I'll use Gen AI. And you can specify the database. I'll use Postgres. That'll take a moment. But once it's done, open up the gem file and add claude-ruby gem. I'll add a couple of other gems too. Now cd into the folder and run bundle install and rake db create. We need to pull in the Anthropic API key that we registered earlier. You could use Rails credentials for that, but I'm going to set it up as an environment variable using .envgem. So open up .env file and copy in your API like so. That's the basic setup. Now I'm going to create a service class that will handle the API calls using claude-ruby gem. So from a terminal you can run make-dir app services, touch app services, AI agent.rb, then open up AI agent.rb in your IDE. Here we want a method to retrieve the API key and a method to initiate a new Claude client. That's all we need to get started, so let's fire up a Rails console and give it a go. First, we'll instantiate a new Claude client. Then we'll define the message text that we want to send to Claude. Now we'll call the Claude messages method, which will do an API call behind the scenes and return the API response. As you can see, it's a hash with a bunch of information, but the main bit we're interested in is the content text. claude-ruby gem provides a parse response method to give us just the text that we're interested in. So let's copy in a shortcut to that into our AI agent class, reload our console, and now it's a simple call to get the formatted text response. Claude also allows you to pass in a system message that contains instructions for how to process the request. For example, we can tell Claude to reply only in Spanish. Now, even though our question is in English, Claude will give us a response in Spanish. Claude has a tendency to wrap a bit of extra commentary around the actual answer. But if we don't want that, then we can send Claude a system message to return your response with no preamble. Now you can see that we get a more direct answer. There are other parameters that can be customized, such as which Claude model to use, the max tokens to return, and the temperature of the response. I'll provide examples of these in a future video. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out the next one, where I'll dig in a bit deeper to Claude conversations, including context and different options. Also, if you're not a subscriber yet, then please click below to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more developer videos. For now, that's goodbye. See you next time.